Imagine living in a world where every unexplained illness, failed harvest, terrifying nightmare, or sudden tragedy carried a single frightening possibility. Something evil was watching. Long before psychology, microbiology, or modern science offered explanations, nearly every civilization imagined unseen beings whose purpose was to deceive, corrupt, tempt, or destroy. They appeared under different names and wore different faces, yet they all reflected the same timeless question. If goodness exists, where does evil come from? The earliest civilizations rarely imagined evil as a single, universal force. In ancient Mesopotamia, demons were believed to wander the deserts and the darkness beyond city walls. Some were blamed for disease, others for madness, miscarriages, or misfortune. Priests performed elaborate rituals, recited sacred incantations, and carried protective amulets, believing that words and symbols could drive these unseen beings away. To the people of the time, evil was not merely an idea. It was something that could enter a home without warning. Ancient Egypt painted a different picture. One of its most feared figures was Apophis, the great serpent of chaos. Every night, as the sun god Ra journeyed through the underworld, Apophis attempted to swallow the solar boat and plunge creation into eternal darkness. The struggle was repeated every night, symbolizing an endless conflict between order and chaos. Evil was not expected to disappear forever. It had to be resisted continuously. In ancient Persia, the idea of evil took on a more philosophical form. Zoroastrianism described reality as a cosmic struggle between Ahura Mazda, representing truth and light, and Ungra Mainyu, the destructive spirit associated with lies, corruption, and suffering. Human beings were not passive observers in this conflict. Every truthful word, honest action, and moral decision was believed to strengthen the forces of good. Evil became not only an external enemy, but also a choice that confronted every individual. Across Europe, Norse mythology imagined darker beings lurking beyond the boundaries of civilization. Giants, monstrous wolves, dragons, and shape-shifting creatures represented untamed chaos threatening both gods and humans. These stories reminded listeners that courage was meaningful only because terrifying forces existed. Without darkness, heroism would lose its purpose. In Hindu traditions, the concept of evil often appeared through the Asuras and Rakshasas. Yet these beings were rarely portrayed as evil for its own sake. Many possessed remarkable intelligence, immense power, and profound devotion before pride, greed, or ambition led them toward destruction. Figures such as Ravana illustrate this complexity. A brilliant scholar and devoted worshipper could also become consumed by ego. Evil was presented less as an alien force and more as the corruption of qualities that once held greatness. The Christian tradition introduced one of history's most influential images of evil through Satan, the fallen angel whose rebellion against God transformed him into the tempter of humanity. Medieval Europe expanded this imagery dramatically. Cathedrals displayed grotesque demons carved into stone, artists filled manuscripts with terrifying devils, and sermons warned that temptation often arrived in attractive forms rather than monstrous ones. The greatest danger, believers were taught, was not fear but deception. Despite their extraordinary differences, these traditions reveal striking similarities. Evil almost always thrives in darkness, whispers instead of shouts, promises power before demanding sacrifice, and flourishes wherever pride, hatred, greed, or fear overcome wisdom. The devil changes his face from one civilization to another, yet his methods remain remarkably familiar. Perhaps this explains why these ancient stories continue to endure. Whether we interpret devils as literal beings, psychological symbols, or cultural metaphors, they reveal humanity's deepest fears and greatest moral struggles. Every civilization created its own face of evil, but each was ultimately asking the same enduring question: how do ordinary people lose their way? The answer may be that history's most dangerous devils have never lived only in forgotten myths. Sometimes, they begin with the choices made by human beings themselves.